What up, YouTube Dog Pound Nation? Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the morning rant. We're going to talk a little bit about the Cleveland Browns and what they can do for this upcoming 2023 NFL Draft. What way can they go? What can they do in free agency? What can they do in the draft to fill some of these holes? Let's talk about it.
Here we go, Brownies! Here we go! Here we go, Brownies! Here we go!
What up, Dog Pound Nation? Thanks for staying tuned in. Before we get into this Cleveland Browns draft talk, free agency, all that good stuff, you're stopping by for the very first time, please take that time right now. Hit that subscribe to the channel, hit that like, get my videos out there. Truly appreciate it. And hit that notification bell. So please join the family, join Dog Pound Nation, Browns football, new channel. Can't do it without you. Subscribe. So let's get into this. We're going to break this down. It's going to be a quick video. We're going to break down a couple scenarios I think the Browns can pull off that would really help this football team. All right. But before we get into that, one last thing I wanted to mention is our guard, our man Wyatt Teller, is going to the Pro Bowl. He's an alternate. He's the fourth Brown to make the Pro Bowl this year, which is it's big, it's good stuff. We all know Teller struggled with the injury this year. He didn't have his best year. He kind of fell off. It's kind of concerning. But yeah, good for him. He made the Pro Bowl as an alternate. So that's four Browns that will be representing. So that's what I got there. Let's get into this. Let's break this down. Now, like I said, the Browns can go a couple different ways with this. It all depends on what they do in free agency. But one of the two positions they definitely, if not both, have to take care of in free agency. I think they should try to hammer home both of these positions, the wide receiver position and the defensive tackle. Now, I also agree the safety position as well, all regarding what happens to John Johnson. The more I read, the more I watch on YouTube, it's sounding like John Johnson is going to be gone. I'm not upset about it. If he stays, cool. Because I do think that he would play better under Jim Schwartz. I really believe that. But he is getting a pretty hefty paycheck from the Browns. So if they have to have a top safety back there. Now, there's been rumors that Jesse Bates is linked to the Browns. All right, and Jesse Bates, after the AFC Championship game this past Sunday, made comments that sounded like he is not going to be back in Cincinnati. He pretty much said the writing's on the wall with some things he was mentioning. So Jesse Bates would be a great addition if we let John Johnson go. Then we can look at the DT position, defensive tackle, and the wide receiver position. The Browns, another big thing is the NFL cap is up $16.4 million. All right. Now the Browns are I think $14 million in the hole as of right now, but we have I think if I'm not mistaken, $30 million we're rolling over from last year, on top of the $16.4 million bump up and rise for the cap this year. So the Browns are not in as bad shape as what we think. We also can restructure some contracts. Myles Garrett's contract, Deshaun Watson's, which I hope Deshaun is willing to do, which he should if he wants to bring that talent here. And I don't see a problem why he would. So yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Now let's get into this here. Now, if we make the trade, bring in a wide receiver, defensive tackle like a Brandon Cooks or DeAndre Hopkins, or even a defensive tackle in the offseason like a Fletcher Cox. I'm starting to hear his name, being linked to Jimmy Schwartz. Now, here's the thing. No matter what, if we bring in a defensive tackle, I still think we should draft one in the second round. Now, if we go after like a Brandon Cooks or a Hopkins or any other wide receiver of that caliber, I still, I don't think we should draft a wide receiver in the second round if that's the case. If we get a decent vet in free agency, I do not think, and I repeat that, I do not think we should draft a wide receiver in the second round. Now, if we don't bring in a wide receiver, absolutely. Absolutely. If we draft a defensive tackle in the second round, I still think we should bring in a defensive tackle in free agency. Like I said, a vet. Now, the kid that I've really fallen in love with, and I've watched his highlights, kid out of Tennessee, Jalen Hyatt. Dude is a burner. All right, he's a stud. He's a burner. He's pretty much their superstar there in Tennessee. He could take the top off of defense. Now, he ran a 40-yard dash at the regional opening, or the opening regional, excuse me, and he ran a 4.31. Dude is a burner, and that's what the Browns need, okay? Now, can you imagine, having Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and this kid, taking the top off? You know what that's going to do to this offense, having that burner, all right? And this dude, he's not an Anthony Schwartz. He's not I believe he did run track, but that wasn't his main focus. He is an actual football player with, a lot of upside. And this kid, I think, is going to pan out in the NFL. I can see him being a Tyreek Hill. They have him listed at 6 foot, but some of the, you go. It depends on where you go and look up his draft bio. It goes from anywhere from 6 foot to 6'2", from 175 to 185. It fluctuates, but he's worked a lot from the slot. He's a slot receiver. But there's some knacks to him. He had an issue dropping balls. I did read that quite a bit. They had an issue with dropping balls, but I think that's something you can coach. Get on that jugs machine, and I think that problem could be fixed. Look at David Njoku. Njoku still at times drops that ball, but if you remember, Njoku his first 2 years in the league, he was dropping everything thrown his way. It was putrid. So. He has an issue with the drops, and also another thing is he's not your crisp route runner. All right, he doesn't run. His route tree is, he doesn't run the full route tree. His routes are not crisp. They're more, less. That's something he's got to work on. And I think working with an Amari Cooper, who is one of the best route runners in the NFL. I think that's another plus. So the only thing he's got a knack for is, and this is kind of concerning because of the type of quarterback we have in Deshaun Watson, a player that extends play, or a quarterback that extends plays. This kid has he doesn't come back to the ball real well. When the play breaks down, he's kind of off in la la land. That's been what I've been reading, but that's something that can be coached. That's nothing you can't coach, so I'm not too concerned about that. But this is my dude right here, Jalen Hyatt. This is my dude. I think this is a wide receiver that he would look good in brown and orange, baby. All right, I'm a firm believer in this. Right now, he's projected to go in the second round, but that can change by the time the draft rolls around. I can see it changing. I can see this kid being drafted in the first round. Somebody on the back end of the draft in the first round can swipe this kid very easily. I honestly believe he's going to be first round talent by the time the draft rolls around. Now, if we do, like I mentioned, if we do get that veteran wide receiver in free agency, this is the defensive tackle I want the Browns to draft in the second round. This kid out of Clemson, Brian Breezy, the dude is a stud, a real stud. He's very athletic. He's like an edge rusher that plays defensive tackle. He had 8 sacks last year. He's great against the run. He doesn't miss tackles, and he's 6'5". He's a little light right now for the NFL. He's at 300 pounds. That's a little light for defensive tackle, but he can bulk up. Not really too concerned about that. Like I said, he doesn't miss tackles. He's solid against the run. He's projected to go in the second round as of right now, like our Jalen Hyatt. And the other thing is too, with this kid from Clemson. Uh, it's that's like he's solid against the run. That's the whole thing. Missing tackles. When you read that he doesn't miss many tackles, and that is what you need for stopping the run, and that's something the Browns lacked, as we all know, last season. So this is going to be my first defensive tackle. I think the Browns should go after if you know he's around in the second round. And another defensive tackle I like is Carl Brooks from Bowling Green. Dude, 6'4", 300 pounds, similar height and weight as our boy from Clemson. Uh, Another thing is he had a lot of sacks last year. He had 12 sacks. Works off blocks. That's his strong suit. He's great working off blocks, and that's something the Browns. Another thing with our defensive tackles over the last couple of years, they cannot work off blocks. They're getting pushed off the ball. They can't get off the blocks to make these plays in the run. Stopping the run. This dude is it's his strongest suit. They stated that he doesn't miss tackles as well. He's got a strong lower body, which is great in the trenches. That he can stand his ground and take up space. This is another guy that needs to bulk up. And like I mentioned, he's quick off the ball, good tackling, 12 sacks, works off blocks. Dude's a stud. All right, I think this is a guy that can really, really have a good NFL career. Maybe not. He might not be that defensive tackle, every down defensive tackle. But this is a guy, if we bring in a veteran like a Fletcher Cox or something of that nature, this is a guy I would love to draft, all right, to work alongside a vet like that. And those two guys, I would not be upset if the Browns drafted. I prefer dude out of Clemson as my first pick. But if he's not there, Carl Brooks would be my second selection. But that's where I think we should go if all pans out. Like I mentioned, how it depends how we hit free agency, and we draft that wide receiver. The Browns have definitely got to take care of that defensive tackle position in the second round. But that's what I got right here with this. Let me know if you agree, disagree, or if you have a scenario. Leave it in the comments. I'd like to hear about it. Let's talk about it. Another thing is too, that AFC Championship game, boy, against with the Cincinnati Bengals and Kansas City Chiefs, it was disgusting. I did not want the Bengals to win. I'm not one of them Browns fans that is pulling for the Cincinnati Bengals, which to me is ludicrous because they're our rivals. I mean, let alone in the same state. Like, I don't get some of these Browns fans pulling for the Bengals. But I will tell you, there were a lot of bad calls. This officiating in the NFL has gotten so pathetic, they have to do something about it. I think that it has to be brought up this offseason, doing something with the officiating, because it is pathetic. You lose football games with bad calls, all right? And it definitely showed yesterday or Sunday in that championship game there, AFC championship game. I do agree at the end of the game that late hit out of bounds. I mean, you could have called it. It could have went either way. Dude, just, it was unfortunate. I felt bad in a way, because my brother said, I feel bad for the guy, because they showed him on the bench crying, and, your emotions get the best of you. You're so tuned into that game. Your adrenaline's going. I know, he wasn't trying to hurt the guy, hurt Mahomes by any means at all. But that's what happens. That was just so. I texted my brother. I said that was so Browns. That is that penalty, to move the Chiefs closer to kick that game-winning field goal. That is so Browns. That is something I thought I was watching the Cleveland Browns. And that's when my brother said, I feel bad for the guy. I said, now, if that was the Cleveland Browns linebacker, you'd want his ass off the team right now. But and he laughed. It's true. If that was a Browns and that happened, I would not be feeling bad. I would have been probably kicking my TV in. But yeah, the officiating, that's a whole nother video. We're going to talk about that sometime coming in the near future. Something's got to change. This is getting ridiculous. There was so many holding calls. with the Chiefs that were not called, and it happens all the time with Myles Garrett. It's just so blunt, like it's right there, and they're just not pulling that flag out with obvious holding. I seen uh dude get yoked down from behind, like it was just so bluntly and obvious, and it wasn't called. I was just like, "Are you serious?" Now the NFL, I mean, they can't make it any more obvious. I mean, what? It's getting bad. It's getting bad. So I mean, but that's it. That's my rant for this morning. Me just rambling on. But yeah, please leave your comments down below. I would love to hear from you. I can't do it without you guys. So let's talk about this upcoming draft. Well, I want to hear what you guys have to say. So please, comments. Everybody, again, hit that subscribe, hit that like. I got to get to work. Everybody have a great day. Stay safe. God bless. And go Browns!